Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and I'm here with
Mike Sneideman.
We got a great show for you guys today.
We have a new venture, joint venture.
Yes.
And this was your idea. You want to explain exactly how we got here?
Yeah, I got into listening to podcasts probably only about a year ago, and since then it's become a part of my regular routine. I listen to podcasts in the morning. Every morning when I work out, I probably listen to an hour to 2 hours of podcasts every day, almost all of them poker. And I thought, I really think there's a need out there for a poker podcast that strictly talks a lot of strategy. And I like talking strategy. But
Steve, I don't want to talk about strategy. I want to talk about my love life, man. It's much more fascinating.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I interrupted you. Yes, go ahead.
Of course. And I thought, I think there's a need for a poker podcast that talks a lot about strategy. And you and I have been talking about hands back and forth now since we met this last July at the World Series of Poker. And this is the culmination of that. That's where we're going with it. So
yes,
this is the first episode, and we're just starting out.
Yeah, we met this summer. We're both, and also we had talked strategy, but I also thought it'd be interesting if we kind of talk about, how to survive in poker. Like I think I told you that. Like every time you hear an interview with a poker pro, it's always, kind of about their personal life and how does it feel to be a baller and ship a tournament. And you and I are both kind of in the same boat. We're sort of semi-pros who are definitely making money at the game, but not entirely certain we can make a living off it. So we kind of we're kind of on the same level that way too, I think.
Yeah. I'm a professional fireman by trade, but I've been playing poker for the last 11 years since Moneymaker won the World Series. I started playing after that, and I've been winning for the last 6 or 7 years. And not a whole lot, but since I've been in the green, each year I make between $2,000 to $3,000. And the most I think I made in 1 year was about $10,000. So not a whole heck of a lot, but I play anywhere from, at one point I was playing 40 hours a week, and then sometimes I only play 5 hours a week, but over the course of a month, I usually grind out 60, 80 hours, something like that.
Right.
So I do enjoy playing a lot. I play online, I play live, play tournaments, play cash games. I just love the game.
You're mostly a cash game guy.
Now I am. I was a tournament guy for probably 3 or 4 years, and then after talking with some pros the last time I was out in Vegas, they convinced me to switch to cash and do about 80 or 90% focused on cash games. And then tournaments, they said, is more like taking your shot. They said, put 80 or 90% of your bankroll into cash games, and the other 10 or 20% kind of take your shot and have fun at tournaments. But to make a living as a tournament grinder is extremely difficult, and there's very few people that can do it. They said so. The way they put it was, they said your milk comes from cash games, and then they said, have fun, take your shot in tournaments, but to rely on that as a steady source of income without someone backing you is not as realistic as I think I was envisioning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, tournaments, I don't think, especially if you factor in all the traveling and that sort of thing. I believe if there was, if I had tournaments next door to me every day, it could be very profitable. But yeah, my story is kind of similar to you. Started playing around the same time, although you're a fireman. I don't know if I'm a poker pro or a mailman who is on temporary leave from the post office who is just playing a lot of poker. But right now, I think that maybe I'm in an interesting spot for all the casual players, where I've been profitable the last 2 years and saved for a lot of money from my perspective, and now I'm kind of testing the waters, seeing if I can make the hourly wage to survive as a poker pro, and trying to transition to cash. Although since I've been in California, I've played some tourneys and had a couple nice results, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But like I said, the cash game is hopefully. You and I have been talking through hands for the last few months, and that's helped me. And I'm kind of difference between. I mean, I knew it was true that cash is different than tourneys, but it took a little while for me to make the adjustment. I was down over 10,000 my first month here, and I've turned that around and had some good profits the last five or 6 weeks. And Still, I have no idea if I'm good enough to be a poker pro or if I can handle, handle the emotional, psychological side and all that sort of thing, and make money.
Yeah,
But
you're,
you're fanatical about. At some point, we'll have to talk about bankroll management because I'm amazed how disciplined you are. Where you have like almost 2,000 in your online account, and you still play 25, 50 cent, right? Because you strictly stick to that 100 buy-in thing, which very few people do, I think.
Well, actually, I was playing 10 cent, 25 cent Zoom poker zone or whatever it's called on Bovada. It's the one where you get a hand, and if you're sitting there with 7-3 offsuit on the button, you can instantly fold it, and boom, it puts you right at another table. I was playing. It was 10 cent, 25 cent, and I got to thinking about that, and I'm like, maybe this is a little excessive. Maybe I could step up in limits a little bit, and so I went from 10 cent, 25 cent up to 25.50, and I thought, oh man, I just got it handed to me. And, I have a few hands from that. I don't know if I'm playing different. There is a definite difference between the levels, though. I will say that. But for example, at the 10 cent, 25 cent limit, I was showing a profit raising every single time out of the small blind, regardless of what hand I had, and raising almost every single time from the button, probably raising 90% of my hands. With not even thinking about, am I going to play after the flop, because they almost always folded. And then if I did see a flop, then I would play from there. But most of the time I wouldn't have to worry about it. When I moved up to the 25, 50 cent limit, that changed drastically. You can't raise every two out of the small blind. They'll 3-bet you. They'll play back at you. They're much better playing after the flop. You can't raise 80 or 90% from the button. You got to drop it down to maybe 60. It's so that's the biggest difference I've noticed. And also just the players are better. I didn't think there would be that much of a difference between the 10.25 to the 25.50, but it was pretty noticeable to me. Yeah. Anyways, that's where that's at. I've probably logged 4 or 5 hours at the 25.50 cent limit since the last time we talked, and it's a definite difference. I'm actually thinking about stepping back down.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't think that would happen, but
I would think, unless I would think you got to stick at that level and just get better. I mean, would be my perspective. But maybe that for me is just some sort of ego thing. I don't like, I'm full speed ahead, and
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I got to just stick it out a little bit longer. Yeah.
So conversely, are you at 25, 50 cent? Are you fighting, defending your big blind a little more tenaciously? Or are you?
Yeah, a little bit. I am. Yeah. Whereas before, if they would raise, I would more likely fold at the 10.25. Now at the 25.50, I am defending it a little bit more with suited 1 and 2 gappers. It depends on where it's from. It's from the button. Any ace, I'm re-raising. At the small blind, I may be folding too much. I don't know. Like if I get a raise from middle position, and it's only 6-handed, but if under the gun plus 1 or whatever raises from to like 150, if I'm in the small blind and I have like ace X suited, I usually dump it, and I think that might be a leak. Maybe I need to at least call, maybe re-raise with that. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, is it 6-handed?
6-handed, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm a tourney guy, so yeah, the baby ace in the small blind is. Yeah, I guess you could even break it down mathematically for how wide they're opening versus how wide you should be 3-betting that hand or calling.
Yeah.
But if you're going to call, you definitely have to be fighting for the pots, even when you have air. Sometimes you got to check raise. Sometimes you got to float. Sometimes. I mean, that's just my perspective.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because anytime you're just defending the blind, saying, "Geez, I hope I get a hand." I mean, it's fine to do that sometimes. I think But yeah, certainly like in a tourney, if I'm under like 40 big blinds and I decide to defend with a raggy hand, a lot of times it's going to be with the, indifferent to the flop here. Like, I'm going to lead out. I mean, it's always going to be player dependent. The better the player is, the more likely I am to A, fold it, or B, to play more honestly after the flop and just hope to get a piece of it, I guess. But,
yeah.
well, quickly, I know we wanted to talk a little tourney poker here because I've been playing. I'm either had some great success or some epic failure, depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
I've cashed like 5 of my last 13 tourneys, including 3 final tables. The final table of the LA Poker Open, and the WSOP circuit right now is in Rincon Casino. Harrah's Rincon is WSOP circuit San Diego, and I final table 2 of the first 3 events there. But my first 3 final tables are an eighth, a ninth, and a 10th, which are all together a lot less than 1 second place would be probably.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of frustrating. And as you know, today I bagged chips in the day 1 of the main event. And I'm going out there to play day 2 of the main event, which I guess is good.
That's
only
high quality problem.
I think only of about 300 players who started this tournament, there's 46 left. And the bad news is I'm 45th in chips, with coming back to 11.5 big blinds. So you never know. We'll have to. You could run it like the LA Poker.
You're in the top 15%.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
probably like 30 will get paid, but I mean, it's obviously pretty. I'll be getting it all in the first 10 minutes, and then I'm either going to double up or maybe steal the blinds a few times. But so thinking strategically before that is about what I'm going to do today. Is you don't have to really think of a game plan. I just got to chip up and then hopefully play some good poker. But it does happen. Like the LA Poker Open, I was 72nd out of 75 in chips entering day 2, and then I had I was like second in chips with 20 to go, and then big bluff gone wrong, blah blah blah. But I've run it up before; it can happen again.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I thought maybe we want to talk about a few hands from my day 1, which was like an interesting session because I don't know if any of these hands individually are sort of deeply fascinating, but I can give kind of a anatomy of a session, how you build a stack, lose a stack, and then just manage to survive, hold on, and bag, which I guess is, the way to do it.
Yeah, let's do it. What hands you got?
Well, it was like the 6th or 7th hand of the tournament here, and we start with 20,000 in chips. So it's 25-50. So me and the villain are 400 big blinds deep.
Okay.
And there were some fireworks early. He opens from the cutoff, and I defend from the big blind with king 7 off.
Okay.
And I think he opened to 150, and I called for 150.
Okay, so he opened 3x.
So there's 325 in the pot and the flop, and the flop is 7-7-3, 2 clubs.
That's a pretty good flop for king 7.
Absolutely. And I decide to check raise. Obviously, I'm not trying to be cute here. I want to build a pot.
Yeah.
I've got the best hand, 19 out of 20 times.
Now, what kind of player was he? Was he like 70, or was he a 20-year-old kid, or what?
Yeah, 25-year-old Asian kid.
Okay.
And I didn't have any reads on him. It's too early.
Yeah,
He had
hand or something.
I don't think there was. I think the only hand that even played that had a few chips in the pot was where I raised and then got called, and then I missed the flop, but I double barreled and the guy folded.
Okay.
So I had this guy slightly covered. So anyways, I check and he bets, I think, like 200 or 225.
Okay.
And then I 3x his bet. I make it like 675, I think it was.
Okay.
And he takes maybe 15, 20 seconds, and then he makes it 2,000.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So what would you do now?
Okay, let me see. You got 675 plus 325. So you got a grand, and then what did he make it? He made it 2,000?
Yeah. I think there's only one thing to do here. I think you call.
Let's see. Okay, he raised from the cutoff, so his range could be, big pairs. He could have anything from, I would say, any pair, including all the big ones. He could have ace king, ace queen, ace jack, maybe like down to ace eight suited.
Well, this is one of those situations where you just sat down, you're 400 big blinds deep. I don't
Yeah.
even know. I don't even half the time even range my opponent's pre-flop unless we're like 30 big blinds and under. I'm just going to put him on any two cards for the sake of. Yeah. What is he raising in on the? What is he re-raising on the flop?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say probably eights and above. Maybe ace king, ace queen, ace jack of clubs, ace ten of clubs. Maybe the nut flush draw. Pocket threes, of course. Any seven. I think you're really, really good against his range. Now, let me think.
I don't think he would ever re-raise with a big pair early in the tournament. I mean, like I said, I don't know. He might be a lunatic, but unless I know, that's just a bad move there because I'm repping a 7.
Yeah.
I guess he could re-raise his aces kind of to find out where he's at and hope I shove him off it, and he knows, you know what I mean? But I don't think – I personally think right away I think he's got pocket threes or a 7 personally. This is just my initial response to him. He's got a hand. So I just decided to call.
Okay.
I think that's the good move there. Or you could almost argue, if anything, where I should re-raise fold to a shove.
That's what I was thinking, actually. I was thinking make it like 45 and then see what he does. And, if he tanks for a long, long time and, you can tell that there's a decision there and then, I don't know. I think that's probably what I would have done. I probably would have made it 4,500, maybe like 47 or something, and if he comes over the top, then you can comfortably fold. You got 15,000 left. You got 300 big blinds. You got plenty of room to play, and you're not out.
Right. Well, you don't want to fold. You can't call with just that hand if he shoves, but you don't want to fold the best hand either. He might. I can't put any reads on him, so he might shove the nut flush draw. He might shove a weaker 7.
No, that's a good point.
So. I called. I think that was really the only move, frankly. Never folding, obviously.
No.
And even if he has pocket threes, I still got outs. And I can hope if another club comes, maybe he slows down, or I can rep a flush and actually steal it if for some reason he's got ace 7 or something.
And you don't have the king of clubs, do you?
No.
Okay.
So the turn, I just call. So there's now 5,000 in the pot. The turn is the 10 of clubs. So it completes the flush.
Okay.
10, 7, 3, 3, 3 clubs. I check to him again, and he bets 4,000. So I think really I end up calling here. Spoiler alert. I think really that should be a fold because at this point he likely has me beat. He's just betting his hand and hoping I come along because he's got a monster. He either has a flush or he has pocket threes. Again, you can't take other 7s out of his range. He could have 8-7, 9-7. Of course, he could have 10-7, which would be horrible for my hand.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is a fold. I don't know. I might have. Now that I'm looking this over, there's as I calculated, I could be a little off. It looks like there's 43.25 on the pot going to the turn. Is that what you got? 2,000.
Yeah, that's all right. Did I say 5? Did I say 5,000?
You said 5,000. Yeah, but he led for almost pot on the turn, right?
Okay. Yeah. No. Well, it was 2,000. And I called it 2,000. So yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
43.25. So and now he's betting full pot almost on the turn.
Yeah.
The club does not slow him down.
Now, why did you not bet on the turn?
I figured. I honestly thought I was beat. Okay. Really, I was putting on pocket threes, so I was not. And again, I don't want to bet and get re-raised. I was really hoping his bet size was like 2,500, so I could hope to hit the king or the 7 on the river. Yeah. So this is one of those things where I think I'm either way ahead or way behind. I mean, he is. A young kid. He could just be blasting away and F you, I'm taking this pot.
Yeah.
In which case, I want him to keep betting.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, he could be nutted. I could be beat, and in which case, I don't want to be betting his hand.
Yeah,
So I think letting him take the lead is the right move here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to range him now So for him to bet pot here, up to this point in the hand, okay, so he raised 3x. You called out of the big blind, defended with king 7 offsuit. The flop came down 7-7-3, giving you trips. You checked. He bet 225. You raised it to 675, so you check raised him there. Then he came over the top, made it 2,000. You called. You go on to the turn. 10 of clubs comes out, completes the flush. You check to him, and he fires off 4,000. I'm trying to think from his perspective, what would he re-raise a check raise with on the flop? And I can't picture him raising there with worse than king 7, like queen 7 or jack 7. I mean, most people just don't play that, right? If he's going to play a 7, it's probably going to be ace 7. Maybe he would play like 7-8 suited or something. I would raise from the cutoff with that.
Right.
Or 6-7 suited, so you are beating those. But he would also do that with pocket 3s, pocket 10s, I guess, maybe ace king suited.
I don't know. Like I said, this is one of those hands where I don't know. I mean, you've got to range your opponent, obviously, always. But I just started playing with him, and we got 400 big blinds. I mean, if he has pocket deuces and he just feels like banging heads early, he's like, I'm taking this pot. This guy's on a draw. Then he could be re-raising with any pair or air. Ace queen off.
What's the buy into this tournament?
1675.
I don't think someone's just.
That was my reaction on the flop was, okay, he definitely has a hand.
Yeah.
And on the turn, I'm like, okay, I'm probably beat here. I was absolutely really. So the question is, do I want to call 4,000 to see the river? Like if I have him on pocket 3s, I actually have 7 outs, 3 kings, 3 10s, and 1 7.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily. I'm not really getting the right price there, But basically, my hand was. I decided to call, and I was pretty much going to fold any river that didn't give me a full house.
Okay.
And because there's now so anyways, I call, and now I guess the pot is now 12,325.
Yeah.
And the river is the king of clubs.
Well, that's a pretty card.
So I hit the jackpot here, and there's 4 clubs out there, and I decide to check to him. And he insta shoves his entire stack in there, which is, of course, another 15 or 16K, I guess. So this should be a snap call, right? Because pocket kings and pocket 10s don't make any sense.
Pocket 10s probably not. No.
I mean, there's a possibility, but he looks like he had right away. I from the point where he re-raised on the flop, I said he's got pocket 3s, and then when he bets the turn, he looks like he has pocket 3s, and it looks like the river he's betting his full house for value, hoping I have a flush.
Yeah.
Again, so I'm ashamed to say I actually tanked for like a good minute here before I called, but I even said to the player, I said, I'm not slow rolling you, buddy, your pocket 3s are no good. I said, I just want to think about it for a minute here. I'm wondering if you could have 10s or jacks, or why wouldn't you? Maybe this is a failure on his part. He didn't stop to think that he probably really thought I had the flush. He had me narrowed down to one hand and not trips.
Yeah.
Because if it's trips, then, maybe he just checks back the river. No, I think he's got to bet it. He's going to bet fold, maybe. But even then, I mean, he just ran into it.
You mean if you have a 7?
I'm saying
if he has a 7, you mean?
No, I'm saying he has his hand. He knows what he has. I'm saying, could he bet, rather than shoving on the river, could he bet 5,500 and then fold to a reshove to save half his stack, and saying, okay, he doesn't have if he bets the river, I don't think he's folding.
Yeah.
But anyways, I call, and he's got pocket 3s, and I have the full house, so I have a full double within 5 minutes of this tourney starting.
Well, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that was pretty great. So I got over 40,000, and I don't know if the hand has too much. But offers too much commentary. I mean, night I'm almost always insta calling, but it's like I drove an hour to get to this casino and playing a 1675. And yes, I have money for the rebuy, but I've only got I got less than a quarter of my chips in there.
Yeah, you're 3 minutes into it, and you're like, hang on, let me think this one through here. Yeah,
yeah. Like when you're talking about ranging your opponent, all I can think of is how I would play the hand. Like I said, I would never re-raise the flop with a draw or an overpair, like you were trying to range them. So in my mind, and I would never be shoving the river there with pocket threes, but I'm kind of a nit,
Yeah.
I'm never trying to, 400 big blinds deep. I never want my hands in there without the stolen gold nuts,
Yeah.
So anyways, I get a double and I'm off and running.
Yeah. I think just to kind of wrap this one up, I think you're right. I think that is it's an obvious fold on the turn now. But in the heat of the moment, I think on the turn I might have let out for. There's 43.25 in the pot. I might have let out for something like maybe 2,000 or something, and see what he did. And if at that point he raises you from there, then and you can get away from it. If he just calls, then you can kind of reevaluate on the river. But as played, checking, and then he bets 4. I think you're right. It's a fold there.
Well, it's a calculated risk too. Obviously, if I hit my hand, I think it's still too good. I mean, his bet sizing says he has it. I think it's probably still too good to fold. But I don't know. It's a tough spot.
Yeah.
But anyways, quickly go to another hand a few minutes later, and I thought, again, not a real fascinating hand, but I got more value out of this hand than I would have 6 months ago because I thought it out a little more, I think. And so from that, I thought we're still 25-50.
Okay.
And I have 10-10, pocket tens, I think under the gun +1.
Do you remember what suit they were?
No.
Okay.
No, not
relevant.
And not relevant to this hand. And the villain calls from I make it 150 and the villain calls from the button.
Okay, I'm sorry. Where were you? Middle position?
I was under the gun, early position.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, flop is 10-5-4 all hearts.
Okay. That's a pretty good flop.
Right. And again,
what?
Never
Hearts?
All hearts.
Okay.
And again, early in a tournament, it depends on the villain, but this guy's about 60-year-old dude who's, I think this is the first hand maybe he played in the first 15 hands.
Okay.
So I'm always betting it, just trying to build the pot and hoping he has a piece of it. So I bet 200, and he immediately calls.
Okay. So right now, 375 before the flop, 150 plus 75 in
right.
lines, and then you bet 200. He calls 200.
Right.
So that would be 775 as the pot.
Right.
Okay.
Again, when I have 1,000 big blind or 800 big blinds, and he has 400, the specifics of the stack size are not going to. But anyways, the turn is the 4 of diamonds, I believe. So it's. Did I say 10-5-4? I remember it. Yeah.
10-5-4 of hearts, 4 of diamonds.
Right. So I've got
awesome turn.
I'm pretty nutty here, obviously.
Yeah.
Pardon me 1 second here. Anyways, so I decide I'm going to bet big again, and I'm pretty much ranging him on having a big heart. And obviously at this point, I probably shouldn't maybe bet too big because I don't want to push him out of the pot. I want him to catch his heart on the river.
You're thinking he has like ace, king of hearts or 2 aces with a heart or...
No, not that strong. He would have re-raised with ace king and aces pre-flop, I'm pretty sure. And he probably would even if he had ace king of hearts, I think he might just raise the flop and not wait. But again, it's early in a tournament. When you talk about the villain, it's just kind of villain quotation marks. It's like you don't have a HUD, you don't know. So the villain is always just like, okay, this is the standard tight player, the standard aggressive player, and this is the tight passive player. Where if I'm going to want to build the pot, I got to bet it.
Yeah.
So I think I bet about 350.
Okay.
On the turn. So now I'm trying to think what is so, and he calls very quickly. like insta calls. I call. He throws it out there.
No hesitation.
No hesitation.
Okay.
So now there's a little over 1,000 in the pot, right? I'm sorry.
It's 1475.
Oh, it's okay. 1475. And I'm already kind of have a plan. I like if the heart comes, I'm going to bet real big on the river.
Yeah.
The way this guy's going to just and I wanted it to go bing bing. This is one of the few times I kind of sort of thought of a hand out and sort of a, I don't know, meta level, if that's the way to talk about it. So I actually started getting chips in my hand there. Mm-hmm. And I had about 4,700 in chips. Like I had the blues and I had the black, and I put them all together so it's not like the blues on top. It's just like a hunk of chips. And I decided if a heart comes, I'm just going to throw them all out there.
Just bomb it.
and like real quick.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like steal the pot or bully him or something. Anyway, it works out perfectly. The river is a heart. I can't remember which one. I think it's like the 3 of hearts or something. And so I basically have the nuts here. And I throw out just a massive overbet, almost 3x pot, I think it was. I think it was like 48.75. And this is like dealing with the amateur. He just insta calls. He doesn't even look how many chips I bet.
Wow.
And he has the ace of diamonds and the jack of hearts. So he didn't.
Jack of hearts?
He had 3 flushes that beat him, and then the dealer's like then pointing out how many chips it costs him, and he's like, oh, you can tell he's I haven't had a full house in 2 months and da da da. But
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my results are much better live than online. My live tournament ROI is like 100%, and online it's like 25. I mean, online is just tougher.
Yeah.
So there's always a discrepancy there. But anyways, I was kind of proud that I got all that extra, because normally, like a few months ago, I would have bet
800 or something. And
maybe a pot size bet. But here I got like an extra 3,400 because I'm like, if a heart comes, the guy's calling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I actually thought he had like, maybe the nut flush.
Yeah,
the way he called so fast.
There was a queen, ace of hearts, jack of whatever.
No.
Yeah.
So I mean, I got lucky that just a player played it badly there. And so again, like so now I'm up to like 40, 46, 47,000 probably. And I don't know if I want to talk another couple more hands here and sort of rapid motion. And here's another one where I think we might have been 5,100 here, but this is early. And a guy opens from the cutoff, and I am in the small blind. And this is an Asian guy who's like, I was basically going to defend with anything here because I had played with him before, and he was in a previous tournament where he had a lot of chips, and I was kind of in shove fold mode. This might have been tournament 1 where I final tabled and he got knocked. So basically, he saw me playing very tight. So I thought if I made a play in this hand, I didn't really care what the flop was going to be. I thought I could maybe take it away from him. Mm-hmm. I had 3-5 off.
Okay.
I won't even like I said, it's so early, we're so deep. I won't even I'm just going to sort of buzz through this one, but just show you how I built my stack early. And anyways, the flop is king 4 deuce, and I have 3-5. Cool. So I had a good flop for me. I actually hit a straight draw.
Yeah, ace or 6.
And he bets. I'm going to just say he bets a little more than that. He bets like 200, and I call. And the turn is a 9, and I check, and he checks.
Okay.
So, it's never good. I do this sometimes where I just sort of decide the line I'm going to take, regardless of what cards come out.
Okay.
But basically, even before this hand started, I'm like, I kind of know how the hand's going to be play out. He's going to c-bet. I'm going to call. And
check, and then you lead.
I'm going to check, and then I'm either going to lead or in this case, I thought it would be the river rather than leading. I thought this guy's definitely capable of calling me with ace high or pocket 3s even on with a bunch of paint on the board.
Yeah.
So anyways, I decided I'm pretty much going to hope to hit my hand, obviously, but check raise any river.
Okay.
And the river is a king. So the final board is king 4 deuce 9 king.
Sure.
And I check to him, and he bets pretty big. He makes it like 750. I think 80% pot or something. I forget exactly.
Okay.
And I take a minute before raising to 29.50.
Okay.
So almost 4xing his bet, and more than the pot. And he takes a while, and he's Hollywooding. I'm pretty sure he has nothing there, because he's never value bet. I mean, he could be value betting the sixes and stuff. I mean, I probably would. So I again, I'm not going to try to. I don't know what he has, but like my instinct is just he has nothing, and I'm going to get a fold here. It's a profitable raise.
Yeah.
But anyways, he folds. He's like, "Ah, man, you always have it." And I rarely show the bluff, but I felt like showing it because I had a lot of chips, and maybe I'm going to keep running good. But so I take that pot down.
And what did he do when you showed it? Just
he just smiled. Good bet, bro.
He probably had jack high or something. Anyways,
he's. I can't even remember our history. He might have bluffed me off a previous hand, but okay. He wasn't angry or anything. He's not that kind of guy. So anyways, and then I come over, and it's my big blind. They move me off the table. Mm-hmm. And I can move to a new table, but like I said, it's like second or third level, and I've got like 50,000 at chips, and I'm probably the chip leader in the tournament here. I mean, not that chip leader means absolutely nothing at this point, but I got a lot of chips.
Yeah.
So I moved to the next table, and I got a couple nutty hands. I had a set of aces, I remember, and I hit a gutter ball, and so I was kept moving up. I mean, I bluffed off some chips, but then I kept moving up even farther. I think I had 56,000 to start the next hand I want to talk about.
Okay.
And this was interesting. I talked about this guy on the phone. The greatest lunatic I've ever seen at a poker table.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Okay.
Yeah,
give him a quick rundown of this guy, because this is impressive.
Well, this guy is I don't know if he's Arab. He's got an accent that I thought was Middle Eastern. He's drinking. He sits down. He had already rebought. This is level 2 or 3, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And he had already rebought, and he came in, and he was drinking wine, and then we're having his very first hand. I think I told you this. He shoves under the gun his new stack after he just gets handed it, and it's 5,100. Yeah, it's definitely level 2, and he shoves under the gun,
and everyone 400 big blinds, right?
Yeah, well, it's 200 big blinds now.
Okay.
And everybody folds, and he shows 3 deuce.
That's awesome.
And then he basically keeps doing the same. There was a king 9 deuce board where he shoved all in when there was only 300 in the pot. He shoved 20,000 in, and the other guy had king queen, and all he had was 10 deuce. So he had bottom pair, and he hit jack queen for runner straight.
So great.
And
I then love people like that get chips. It's so perfect.
But you see these kind of guys at a cash table rarely, because people sit down to cash and play it like roulette. Let's have some fun. But usually tournaments, people are playing tournaments not to gamble.
Yeah.
Even the rich guy, they want to go deep in a tournament and have the excitement of the final table or pursuing so. I never really seen a guy like this in a tournament at this level. He's just shoving every hand. At one point he shoves. And people obviously have to change their ranges against him. I mean, I don't know if that's interesting. If he starts shoving under the gun, I've got a lot of chips. But even if he shoves under the gun, I really want to wait for a big hand. I don't know if I want to call with pocket sevens, although I'm crushing his range. If he's shoving every hand, I guess you have to. Especially if I have 55,000 in chips where it's, less than half my stack. Yeah. I'm trying to think some of it, but the funny thing is, this guy ends up getting knocked out at another table. But people were talking about him the entire day, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was just, and people were adjusting their ranges. Like I said, he shoves once, and another guy calls from the big blind with king queen of diamonds, and this guy has jack 8 off, and the flop is queen jack deuce, and this guy ends up getting a jack on the river to knock this guy out.
Of course. Yeah.
So he was pumping it up, and he knocked 3 people out. So he had his 20 up to 80.
Yeah.
And I was still he was starting to fold, but it was just sort of erratic. I'd say he would shove 40 to 50% of the hands. It was always all in when he played a hand, but sometimes he would just fold.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. I think it is right to fold sevens there. Just even though you are crushing his range, you can if he's in mixing it up that much, you can kind of wait to maybe see a flop and at least get it in when you got top pair with a good kicker or something.
Yeah. Well, I didn't actually have sevens, but if I watched him for 20 minutes, I'm snap calling him with sevens for my stack. Now, once he gets up to 50, 60,000, I'm not I'm not putting 500 big blinds in there.
I wouldn't
with pocket sevens.
even,
I'm going to wait till a bigger hand.
You could be doing that with, like you said, Jack 8 or something, and then you're only a slight favorite, and and then you're crushed or out because you took some tiny little edge when you really have like an 80% edge over this guy instead of 53 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean the only. So, anyways, and there was some interesting conversation with this guy. I think I told you this too. He's like talking about poker. Poker is just gambling. It's all luck. And this is after he'd been there for a few minutes. I'm like, well, because he'd already chipped up with crappy hands. I'm like, well, it's hard to argue with you, but no, I think long term it's definitely a skill game. He says, it's all luck. I will prove it to you. So I don't know. This guy might be like a philosophy professor from Wichita who came out here to like talk about people's response to. I mean, I don't know. It was just.
Yeah,
but he's talking about it like
or what was
he was talking about like poker's just an experiment here, and it's so finally he's knocking people out, but he lost a couple of big hands, and I think so. Anyways, the hand I want to talk about, we're at 100, 200, and I still have about 50 something K.
Okay,
we've been playing with this guy for a little over an hour. They're 40-minute levels, and he, I think, has me covered here now. He's got like 60-something K, but we're the two big stacks. Mm-hmm. And I have two red aces in the small blind.
That's a nice hand.
Yes, it is. And early position, probably UTG 1, min raises to 400. Button calls. And in 99 or 999 of 1,000 times, there's no way I'm not re-raising aces here. Like my personal feeling is you only slow play aces like middle deep stages of a tournament where you're under 50 big blinds and it's like worth the risk. But here I'm always raising, especially multi-way pot, and if I don't mind chasing them both out of the pot and just taking it.
Okay, so UTG 1 raises to 500-600 or
400 min raise.
Oh, min raise. Okay, and then someone else calls behind.
The button calls.
Okay, button calls, and then where are you? Small blind.
Yep.
Oh, so you have this guy on your left, the crazy guy.
Directly to my left.
Ah, okay. So the button calls 400, and then you're in the small blind, and this is where you're thinking: should I call and hope this guy just shoves, or should I raise and then he might fold? That's where you're at right now, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I decide it's a calculated risk. Like I said, he's shoving, 40 to 50% of hands. So I think this was probably the right move on my part.
I think it's a clear call.
Yeah. It's just a call.
I think it's a call.
And then the guy behind me just checks,
okay,
or calls.
He just calls 200. Okay.
So I'm already like, okay, I'm going to lose this hand. Like I almost should have open folded it without even looking at the flop. So I mean, you can kind of tell where this is going. I'm already ticked off when I think about this. So the flop is 2 of hearts, 3 of hearts, 4 of hearts.
Okay.
So if you got 2 red aces, that's a pretty good flop.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
I got a straight flush draw, and I decided I'm going to lead out. There's like 1,600 something in the pot, and I bet 1,000. Mm-hmm. And the big blind immediately folds.
Oh, the one guy you wanted.
No, at this point, I just want to take the pot down.
Yeah.
And the original raiser makes it 3,000. He takes a minute before making it 3,000.
Okay.
And then the button calls his 3,000. Mm. So, what would you do if you were me there? The original guy, he's got about 29,000.
Okay, and what's the button got?
I think he's got like a starting stack or a little less. I'm going to say 17,000, 18,000.
Okay. Okay, 3, 3, 6, 7, 8,600 in the pot, and it's on you. I peel one there. I call 2, and then you got 8,600 in the pot. It's only 2,000 for you to call. You're getting more than 4 to 1. I peel if you can get a heart. Then, I mean, okay, you're basically drawing dead to 5, 6 of hearts. But other than that, you could hit the nuts.
Right. Well, I think the right move. Like you said, I think to call and maybe fold too. But here I could have pocket jack with the jack of hearts and think he's just thinks he's hit pay dirt here with a big pair, and it's hard to. I'm trying to rationalize my decision in the past here, but I decided I'm going with it. And I look at his stack, and it's about half of my stack. And if I lose it, I lose it. But what the hell? I got outs at the very least, like you said. So I pot commit myself. I make it 13,000.
Okay.
And the under the guy shoves, and the button guy folds, and he's got. I obviously have to call, and it's queen jack of hearts, and no heart comes, bricks out, and he wins the pot. So if somehow I hit a heart there, I would have had, like 86,000 chips or something with at 100, 200. It would have been just would have had to have been massive chip leader, I would think. I don't know, but anyways. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where it was just half spite. But I mean, it's to justify that raise. I think you either has to put a couple hands in there to justify it. I think you have to say there's obviously a chance that he's calling with worse. There's definitely a chance he's calling with queen of hearts and queen of clubs or something. I think he's probably calling there.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. He could put me in just the ace of hearts if he's got But so there is a chance. It's not a horrible move because I think there definitely could get called by worse sometimes. I don't know, but like I said, I might be saying this just to make myself feel better. But will he fold better ever there? Will he fold bottom set, or will he fold a crappy flush? If the answer is no, if he's never folding better, then I think, like you said, it's just got to call. Or my bet sizing is horrible. Do I actually want to raise? I mean, I think it's just unlucky on my part here. But if I, for some reason, if I raise to 7,700 and then he shoves, I can get away sort of cheap, where I've lost 8,000 of the pot and not call off 20,000 more. But even if I raise, even a minish raise, I think I got to call his shove. I could be, I don't know.
I'm looking at it, and maybe if you were heads up with him and the button folded, but the part that worries me is that, it's 2,000 for you to call at this point. I like your lead on the flop. I think that's good. Just put out 2/3 of the pot and see what happens. Unfortunately, your plan did not go according to the 40 or 50% of the time that the guy was just open shoving before every flop, so that didn't work. It sounds to me like what happened was when that plan didn't go according to how you wanted it to, you kind of checked out of the hand. You know what I mean? Like you. And I'm guilty of this too, but it sounded like when the guy didn't open shove and then you just snap call with your aces, it sounded to me like you're kind of like, crap. Well, what do I do? All right, let me just get this hand over with, and then I want to play the next one.
Right.
And,
but like I said, that's a monster flop and a monster hand for me. I've got a straight flush draw. I've got the aces. I've got. I don't like how I played it, especially don't. If you want to just think of how much money I could have saved if I bet if I just call there, it's still probably all getting, because if the guy who has the queen jack of hearts, he's probably thinking one of us has the king of hearts or the ace of hearts. So if the turn is a black card, he's going to really be bombing it, trying to get us off our hands here. So, like, if I'm him, he was a very good player. Mm-hmm. So his turn bet is going to be like maybe almost pot, or close, 7,500 to 9,000. So let's say I checked him and he bet that on the turn, and I still call. And let's just assume the button folds. Then we're talking about we got 27,000 in the pot, and I think I got to call any card on a river shove there. I don't know. Well,
let's see. He raised UTG or UTG plus one, and what's he doing that with other than two hearts? Is he raising UTG with pocket deuces, pocket threes, pocket fours?
I would raise with a set there personally, but I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think through things.
No. I mean, from the get go, what's he open raising?
Yeah, it could be a lot of stuff.
Well, it was a min raise. Yeah, okay, I raised with that.
I don't think it's the only
I probably raised with fours, but not twos and threes.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't even re-raise. I don't even range people pre-flop when you're deep.
Well, no, I'm saying.
I've seen too many.
Hand, all the way to the flop. Starting from the beginning and going towards where he re-raised you on the flop. What can we put him on at that point?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I range him post-flop.
Okay.
Like, what do you? I mean, I've seen too many hands early in tournaments where Jack 3 and 9-6 are playing.
Exactly.
So it's yeah. I don't range people deep stack like that. Really, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, he probably has a set or an overpair with a heart, or as he certain to have a flush.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, I don't even want to. But is it just again like we're discussing? Maybe not just specific hands, but sort of the anatomy of a tournament. That would be the highest my chip stack would ever be, and from hereafter I would be pretty much at or below the chip average until I bagged, and I ended up bagging 35,500, which is just 11 big blinds. So I kind of. But, just kind of talk about the psychology of a tournament. I mean, I was pissed off and mumbling to myself for a good minute or two but after that. But then I think I played well. So I guess I recovered. I don't know. But that, like I said, that was would have been a game changer because I would have been totally playing different after that if I had the big chip lead. And, I mean, I might have still screwed up and dusted it off, and who knows, maybe I wouldn't even have survived the day. I mean, I don't know. But, that was frustrating, certainly. Yeah. But the lunatic guy, someone else was at his table when he got knocked out. I thought this was an interesting story. Of course it ends this way, where this guy actually gets sucked out on. Oh. he shoved like 60, 70 big blinds, whatever, from like early position, and the big blind called with ace-9. And turns out the lunatic had ace-king, and his ace-king lost to ace-9, and he was knocked out of the tournament. So people were calling him so wide, when obviously if he had a little rush of cards there, he really could have he could have done well. And the only other hand I want to discuss, and this is, we can discuss, I don't even know, I felt smart because it turns out to be the right fold, but this is like one of the last levels of the night here.
Okay, what's the blinds, do you remember?
I think it was 1,000, 2,000.
Okay, 1K, 2K. Okay.
So this is we finished the night at 1,200, 2,400, and the small blind had just gotten knocked out. Okay. And I think I have almost exactly 20 big blinds.
Okay.
I probably got like 40K, maybe a little less, like 37 or 38K. Okay. So I'm in the big blind, and the cutoff raises to, it was 7,000, I think. And there's no small blind, so there's like 4,000 in the pot. He more than 3x'd it. That much I remembered. Okay. And I have king, queen off.
Okay.
And the villain here is just, but basically he's got a big hand, I think. Yeah. You know what I mean? So against the average opponent and any of the pros there, against most players, if this dynamics, king, queen off is a shove there. I'm thinking or a lot of times. But anyways, I think my first instinct is, okay, he has a hand. And this guy was real paranoid, even though he ended up getting knocked out and not bagging. I forget exactly how, but he was always paranoid about someone drawing out on him, kind of thing. And the guy on his left was the chip leader, who had about 200,000 at the time. And this guy probably had 60 or 70, 30, 40 big blinds. And so he bets real big, and I decide I'm just going to flat with the king or queen. And if I hit it, I'll be ecstatic and go with it. So I don't know.
So he raises to 7. You flat out of the big blind. It's just you and him heads up to the flat.
Yeah, I flat for 38,000 chips, 19 big blinds. Especially with his raise, it's probably a fold or shove. I don't know, but king queen plays pretty well. So anyways, I call, and the flop is queen 7-7.
Okay.
So that's about as good as flop as I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And so what's my plan now? Am I leading? Am I check shoving? Check shoving was my initial instinct. Okay, I'm low stacked.
Yeah, well, if
my chips are going in here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Okay. If you had, let's say for argument's sake, we'll just say you had 38K at the start of the hand. He bet 7, you called, so now you're down to 31K, and there's 16 in the pot, maybe.
Yeah, with the antes, about 16.
Okay, so we'll say there's 16 in the pot. Open shoving, I think, is bad because you're only going to get called by better. He's going to lay down jacks or 10s or anything right there. Was there any draws on board? Was there like 2 clubs or something? Or
no?
Okay, so it's rainbow. Can you lead and fold? I don't think that's good. You could, I think you're right. I think check shoving is the best option there.
I think check shoving or check calling would be standard here with this stack size.
Even check calling, though, I mean, I would rather just get it in on the flop And, I mean, what are you hoping to
When I
hit
say
on the...
when I said check call, I guess I meant like if he shoves.
Oh, okay,
check call his shove.
Okay.
So anyways, I check and shoves.
Okay.
It shoves. And I mean, normally like online, again, calling every time, under 20 big blinds, top pair, where it plays so aggressive. But I take a while and study him, and he's not really giving much away. But I'm verbalizing it. I'm like, do you got aces or do you got kings? I said, that's the only two hands you play that way. And so anyways, I fold face up, and he folds aces face up, or shows his aces. So I felt smart there.
Wow.
And again, and it's funny how he's talking. He's like, yeah, I bet so big. I just didn't want the guy on my left here with all the chips to call me and get, it's like people are always worried about their aces getting cracked kind of thing, these late in tournaments. They're psyched to get it, but they're not like, So anyways, he's like, I can't believe you folded that. And so I felt good about that. Like, anyways, I'm trying to justify why I'm going to run really good today, because I made which I think is that's another like lay down that I would not have made a few months ago. I feel like I'm improving at the game, or I'm going with my read. And I mean, maybe it might even be a bad lay down. I don't know. If he's shoving jacks and ace king there, but he isn't. He's got it.
Now, how did you know that he had it? Was it because he's one of the guys that's always afraid someone's going to outdraw him?
I guess his bet sizing was just so. He was not at all worried about having the second best hand there. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was very confident, and like his bet sizing was just different. It was always a min raise, and this was the first time it was like massive. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it was actually probably a standard, not a great lay down, but I think I would have probably I don't know. I'm getting ready to jump in the car and drive back to Rincon, and hopefully my hero fold is, of course, it has nothing to do with anything in terms of what cards you get, because now obviously 11 big blinds, 45th out of 46 in chips. I'm just going to need to get some cards, or just get
Or you get Jack 10 on the button, you shove, and then the blinds fold, and now you have big blinds or 12 big blinds, and then you get another one, Queen Jack, and you shove from the cutoff, and they both fold, and anything could happen, dude.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, we either got to get hands or just keep shoving when no one else has hands and slowly build up. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And that was just a bit right after I made that lay down where I was like very proud of the fact that I had I think I'd stole the blinds and antes and got it back up over 40K. And I think maybe I told you this. I got it all in a three-way all-in with pocket kings against pocket fives and king queen. Yeah. Somebody shoved, they each had like 12, 13 bigs. I can't remember. And anyways, the guy had a 5.
Of course.
So then I was back down to so this, I forget, this was I would have probably been close to 100K. So I would have been, 40 big blinds and it's just poker. If you can't deal with it, don't play the game. Yeah. But so then I was down to nothing, 7 or 8 bigs, and I shoved 5 of the last 9 or 10 hands of the day and stole some blinds and managed to turn my. Well, I don't know how many times I shoved, but anyway, so went from 6 or 7 big blinds back up to 11 and a half bigs, and we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, cool. That's exciting, man. Well, I guess we should probably wrap it up. You got to get going, and you got a big tournament to play.
Hopefully we'll have some interesting hands to talk about. That's only going to happen if I, get a double or get some chips. Yeah. But either way, Steve, I'm glad you have come up with this idea of the Heads Up Poker Podcast, and hopefully this is episode 1 of many.
Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and tune in next week for episode number 2 of the Heads Up Poker Podcast. Good luck, Mike. Knock 'em dead, play well, and just do your best, man.
Okay, man. Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon.
Okay, take care.
Great.
Bye.
I got X-ray specs for eyes. I can see right through you. I can read everybody's mind, so I know what you're thinking. to the moon.